What is up? Happy Friday. Happy Football Friday, everybody. This is Chris Halicke of the Southside Beat. No Corey today. He is traveling to Winston-Salem, North Carolina for Pitt and Wake Forest tomorrow. So I'm here to to give you guys a Friday show. Thank you guys for joining already. We're going to have a good day today. You guys, without Corey here, you guys are in the co-host chair with me. And for everybody who's listening, later on, whenever it's not live and everything, thank you for tuning in and for putting up with me rambling for 30 minutes. So I appreciate that. Swan 269 saying 3 bells. Let's roll. Heck yeah, guys. Let's hit those likes. Joe, appreciate it. What's up? Let's have some fun today, man. There weren't enough views to get the Tony Romo impression today, so maybe I'll give I'll give you guys a couple little seconds of it here and there. But and Swan comes in with a good question here to address right away, because this is obviously we're going to be talking Steelers football today, and part of that is news. So Swan asks, "Hey Chris, how bad is Watt's heel injury?" He said it's minor. He expects to play. I'm not there. I'm all the way in Forney, Texas. But DK covered from the South Side today. Saw the video that DK, shared and everything like that. And so said it's minor. So that's obviously a good thing. We'll see what the injury report says, if he has any kind of injury designation at all. Obviously, no injury designation or probable would be very good. Questionable, you kind of wonder, but the fact that TJ's expecting to play is always a good sign. So, and yes, I already see people in there in the comments saying, did Gunner get cut? According to reports from a report from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network, yes, he will be getting released. It's not official yet. The Steelers have not announced it, but Gunner will be released according to NFL Network, and that's usually a pretty reputable place to get reports before official moves happen. So, Matthew, you don't have to worry about it. If the news is true, which, again, I mean, coming from NFL Network, it seems like it's pretty true. You won't have to worry about Gunner returning kicks anymore or wearing number 89 in black and gold anymore. So, Randy, appreciate it, man. Recruited 3 likes. All you do is smash the like button once. Guys, just all the likes, subscriptions, everything like that you possibly can do. We really appreciate it. And seriously, like, anything you guys do is just out of the kindness of your own hearts. Like, we're not. It's just awesome. The support that we're getting. This is obviously still a really young show, but we really appreciate everybody who's supporting us. And sorry, Corey can't make it today. Obviously, these things are going to happen every now and then. We're different, different things pop up. This is, another something else work related. It's not like something personal came up or anything. He's got to go cover Pitt and had to travel today. So it just wasn't going to happen today. So, but we don't want to take away a day of the Southside Beat for you. So I figure, I can still come on here. I can talk with you guys. You guys can, give me all the questions you want to give me all the comments. We can talk Steelers football. That's obviously what we're here for. But if you want to talk something else, we can talk something else. That's fine too. So, and really, I really do want to hit one thing for sure, and which is why the title of the episode today is "No More Room for Excuses." Swan, really quick before I hit on that, the King really is still kind of a mystery. It's really not. He wasn't good in kick returns, and really just didn't play well in practice. Didn't perform well in practice. Earned 1 defensive snap. If he's not earning his way forward, you've seen it with like Joey Porter Jr. He's continuously gotten more and more responsibility. Broderick Jones, right there, guys get more responsibilities the better they play. Keanu Benton getting more responsibility the better he plays. If that never happened with Desmond King, most likely the main reason is because he just didn't perform well enough in practice. He wasn't a good kick returner. So, Barber impersonation Friday. I'll see. I've got a few impersonations up my sleeve. We'll see what I can figure out here today. I don't know, Jim. There's a Tony Romo for you. But yeah, no, this is a really good opportunity to really hit on what I really want to talk about today. There was a comment that kind of brought it up, and I kind of lost it now. But listen, like the bye week is now. I mean, they're coming out of the bye week. You know, they got this game coming up on Sunday. They really, really, really need to get this done. Like James, you must be joining late. Everything's good with TJ's injury. Trying to put. I'm clicking it. There we go. Yeah. TJ, he said it's minor. He expects to play, so we're good there. And anybody who's tuning in late, Corey's not here. He's traveling for Pitt tomorrow to play Wake Forest. So Corey won't be playing. He'll be covering the game. But yeah, Randy saying no more room for excuses. Yeah, the bye week really. If the Steelers still play bad, they don't have any more excuses. You know, whenever a team goes into a bye week, and this is not just the Steelers, this is really any NFL team. It's an opportunity to really clean up anything that's not going well. Now with the Steelers, there were several issues, like several issues. I could name just a few on offense. Obviously, play calling on offense, overall passing game, Kenny missing throws early on in the season, the running game just not getting going, the offensive line not blocking. On the defensive side, they're still giving up big plays through the air. Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson just can't seem to cover anybody. They're still getting gashed on the ground, which is reverting back to what the defense was in 2021 instead of what it was last year, which ended up being a 9th ranked defense against the run. There's so many issues that need to be addressed. Now, last year, the bye week did wonders to this team. They saw the issues that needed to be fixed. They corrected them. They weren't perfect after the bye week, but they were a much, much better football team. Yes, the schedule was lighter. That helped too. The schedule was really rough in the first half of the season last year. The schedule lightened up. They cleaned up some things. You don't jump from like 94, 96, whatever it was, rushing yards per game to 146 yards rushing per game just because the schedule got lighter. That's not the only reason why. They cleaned up things. They became a better football team in the second half of last season. And we're just one breath away from clinching a playoff berth after a 2-6 start. Crystal, thank you for the donation, $2. Appreciate it so much. She says, are we making too much of the Deontay Johnson return? Absolutely not. Deontay will absolutely be. I've got a Chalk Talk piece that it's not my most recent one, but it came out about a week ago, maybe a little bit more than a week ago, about what Deontay's return to the offense means. So if you can try to find it on the website, it's a Chalk Talk on what Deontay means. And Matt Williamson wrote about it too in one of his War Room pieces, not his latest one, but I think the one before. So myself and Matt Williamson both telling you Deontay Johnson means a lot coming back to this offense. That will help things. Them getting healthy is a big part of this bye week too. And yeah, the bad news and Robert brings it up. The bad news is that Pat Freiermuth re-aggravated his hamstring injury. He's going to be out Sunday. Looks like he's going to be out multiple weeks because of it. That is obviously a huge issue. If that wouldn't have happened with Freiermuth, this offense very, very well could have been 100% healthy going into Sunday's game. And that's something that the Steelers just desperately, desperately needed. But even without Freiermuth, getting back Deontay, getting James Daniels back, even if it's, whether or not he's starting, whatever the case may be with Dan Moore, him coming back at the bare minimum helps the depth at tackle, right? I'm trying to look at it with a glass half full there. Dan Moore being back definitely helps the depth at tackle. So no more excuses now. You've had your bye week. You've had the opportunity to correct the issues. Now, again, I don't expect the team to be perfect. They shouldn't be like no team's going to be perfect, but they have to be better. I mean, Mr. Wood CY or Cy or whatever, like Pat is having a terrible year. I don't think any of the tight ends are really having a terrible year. It's just like they're not being used at all. Like I don't think it's a Pat Freiermuth issue. I don't think it's a Darnell Washington issue. They've both had their issue. And like Darnell Washington is obviously a really good blocker. He's a better blocker than Pat Freiermuth is, but Pat hasn't been utilized whenever he's been out there. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the excuse there's nowhere. If the Steelers go out there on Sunday and he can't block he can't block. That's fine. Like he's still the best receiving tight end on the team. He just is. It's not even close. He's a way better route runner. He's a better pass catcher. His absence hurts. There's no question about that. There's little to argue about that. And of all the issues that there are on offense, the tight end is down the list. Play calling needs to be fixed. Figuring out how to get the running game going. This offense will go as far as the running game takes them. If they don't run the football, nothing's happening. And we're seeing it. We've seen it for the first 5 games. They haven't been able to run the ball. They haven't been able to run the ball. You can't run the ball. You're not going to, this offense isn't going anywhere. So this team needs to go out there. They need to play well. If they go out there on Sunday and they crap the bed again, I don't know. Randy is saying, Connor Hayward, being underutilized. I mean, I agree. I would say being underutilized. Now, I think that they want to try to figure out a way to kind of use him in a hybrid type way where he can be fullback on one play, he can be a tight end on another play, he can line up in the slot on another play. I think they want to kind of use him the way because he's kind of built to do that. He's not built like your traditional tight end. How many 6-foot tight ends do you see in the NFL? It doesn't happen very often. These guys are usually big people, and Connor Hayward's not that. So he's a different type of weapon. I think the Steelers are still trying to figure that out. Part of that goes with Matt Canada. Like you got to figure that out. You have somebody who can be a weapon. He showed last year as he got more and more involved in the offense that he can catch, that he can run routes. He's not perfect at it. He needs to get better at it, but he's also a young player. Joe, yes. Gunner, it's not official, but according to NFL Network, he will be released. Yes. So, and that's something. This, Miltank's uncle said. I mean, we need a real OC. I mean, that's just something that's not going to happen until after this year. Yes, Gunner gone. Gunner gone. I'll probably have to hit that a couple more times before the show's over. Yeah. So, Jerry asked how's McFarland's knee. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hear a double check here in just a second, but he was a full participant Wednesday. So him and Deontay Johnson are both in the same situation where they are in their 21 window to return from IR. So they're back at practice. And McFarland has been a full participant in both days this week. So has Deontay Johnson. So good sign for both of those guys. So McFarland being a full participant in practice both days this week is a pretty good sign. If he was a full participant again today, then that's a really good sign. Crystal, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. We really appreciate that. I'm gonna probably have to hit this a few more times. TJ says he's good to go. Louis asked, just got in here. Is TJ good to go? According to TJ himself, he's expecting to play. The heel issue is minor. The issue with the finger is something that he said he can manage. So according to TJ, yes, he's playing. We'll see what the injury report says, if there's any injury designation at all, but that's according to TJ. Let's see. Hodge. It's obviously difficult to utilize everyone. The offense is averaging less than 6 plays per drive. Well, that's true. They aren't sustaining drives. And what's one of the main reasons why they're not sustaining drives? They're not running the football. I'm going to keep going back to it. And I understand that this is a passing league. And I think the Steelers eventually need to try to embrace that. And maybe when they get an offensive coordinator, who maybe is a little bit more creative at being able to do that. And also Kenny continues to grow as a quarterback, maybe going into year 3, and this would be a great opportunity to do that. The Steelers should be more of a passing team. But in terms of this year's offense, and that's the context in which we have to talk about when it comes to the Steelers fixing their issues, because we can talk about Matt Canada needing to be fired. We can talk about all that different stuff. That's all hypothetical stuff because it's just not happening. You just have to, and even if Matt Canada was fired and somebody else was promoted to offensive coordinator to fill in for the rest of the year, the offense isn't changing. It just, the only thing that would change is the sequence of play calls and different things like that. The playbook's not changing. It's too late to do that. So, Robert, I appreciate it. I did solo podcasts, on previous beats before. So I kind of get used to, rambling a little bit. And my wife is used to me rambling too. So it happens. So this team has to be able to run the ball. They just have to. If they don't run the ball, the offense isn't going anywhere. The offense doesn't go anywhere, they're not making the playoffs. Ed, saying, can this offense score in its first drive, please? Anything they can do to get off to a better start absolutely helps. Because it allows them to play, with a lead, or, allows them to get, more opportunities to try to establish the run, because obviously, in games like they did against the 49ers, if they fall behind, they get one dimensional. They can't do anything. John, that ain't happening. That's not happening. Naji for trade of Naji for Saquon isn't happening. I'm obviously not close. Miltek's Uncle Last, the Naji trade room is true. I'm not there. I'm not on the beat. I'm not a beat reporter anymore. You have to be there to be on it, to be a beat reporter. And obviously I'm not there. I'm dealing with the North Texas allergies right now, instead of having to deal with the lantern flies on the South side. But if I just my best educated guess, no, they're not true. But I'm not there. So anything that I say is, I don't fully trust it myself, because I'm not there talking to the people inside the walls. But educated guess, no, it's not happening. Especially not a trade of Naji for Saquon straight up. If something like that were to happen, it would be, especially because Saquon's bound to be a free agent, if he's not franchise tagged. So, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not there. I really, really wish that I could, give a better answer, but I just want to be transparent with you. If I'm not there, talking to the people, inside the facility, and have a much, much better, anything else that, if you followed my work while I was covering the beat last year, anything that I said with certainty, because I knew where I was getting my information from. So I can't give you a fully educated guess there. Let's see here. Offloo says more Austin. I mean, hey, more Calvin Austin's fine. And honestly, with Deontay coming back, I'd really like to see Calvin Austin operate out of the slot more, because without Deontay, Calvin's been lining up more out, on the outside, because I don't think Allen Robinson can line up outside very often anymore. Like it's just, he's kind of at that age where he doesn't have the ability to separate the way he did, a while back, whenever he was a bit younger. But, not that he's like an old man or anything like that, but it's just, his game right now is much better out of the slot. And, unless you're operating, out of a wide set, you can't have both Allen Robinson and Calvin Austin in the slot at the same time. For the most part, when the Steelers are operating out of like 12 personnel, stuff like that, you're obviously not doing that. So yeah, but I want to see more Calvin Austin too. I really do. I want to see him operate more out of the slot. Joe says Naji is good. Listen, I agree with you, Joe. And my latest Chalk Talk embraces fully head on the Naji versus Jalen debate that people have, because there are a lot of people that are convinced that Jaylen Warren should be the lead back. And I just don't see how. I don't buy it. I just don't. The issues with the running game, when you look at like who's all responsible for it, the running backs are at the bottom. You got like play calling, scheme, predictability, offensive line kind of right there, and then running backs down here. I just that's what I think. So, and Crystal says, yeah, if this fan base thinks Naji's a problem, you're not watching the tape. Again, Crystal's right. Go watch my Chalk Talk thing. It's not taking anything off of Naji's, taking anything away from Naji in terms of like things that he needs to do better. There are things he needs to do better. And I specifically illustrated one major thing he needs to do better in that piece. So it's not like I'm just trying to push any kind of agenda. It is literally going into looking at the data, looking at the film, and just being like, okay, I'm going to tell you what I think based on what I see. And Bob, one of the biggest issue, correct, the run blocking is terrible. It's not been good at all. It's gotten like slightly better over the course of the season. It was awful the first 2 weeks. I'd say maybe even 3 weeks. Got a little bit better in Houston, especially in the second half. That was one of the main reasons why Naji was able to get going. And then, some moments against the Ravens, I know they didn't rush for as many yards against the Ravens, but watching the film, you could see different plays that were blocked better that you weren't seeing in the first couple weeks. It's like, okay, I see how they almost hit that. Right. But overall, yes, the blocking has been bad. It just has been. Monaga Halo Mike says the scheme is terrible. Again, I kind of embrace this in my Chalk Talk on Naji versus Jaylen. I don't know if it's necessarily the scheme. Because, and here's the reason why, and I'll kind of go into this again. Naji is so the Steelers predominantly run outside zone concepts in terms of running the football. They run a mixture of everything. Every team does, but every team has their niche of like things that they predominantly do. The Ravens predominantly run gap schemes. That's just the way that they run the football. The Steelers primarily run outside zone. You would think with Naji, okay, he's north-south. He needs to be running up the middle. Why don't you do inside zone? Why don't you do more gap schemes? Well, it's because Naji, first off, is a better zone runner than he is a gap runner. That goes back to his Alabama days. So the Steelers knew what they were getting whenever they drafted Naji, and it goes down to little minutia like that. He's a better zone runner than he is a gap runner. Okay, good. That's one thing. The other part of it is when you run outside zone, if blocked properly, you are giving the running back most of the time a one-on-one in space against a defensive back. And if you can block it properly against a cornerback, depending on what the defense is doing. If the defense is loaded up front, you probably don't get the opportunity to have the one-on-one against the cornerback. It might be against a safety, whatever it is. But that's what you want to do when you're running outside zone. And when you think of a running back like Naji Harris, one-on-one in space with the cornerback, that should favor Naji most of the time. So that makes sense if blocked properly. The problem this year is that outside zone is not being blocked very well. And one of the things that I pointed out in the Naji versus Jaylen thing was Naji needs to beat cornerbacks in space more often. So that's like the one thing that Naji really needs to be better at. So it's not, I wouldn't say the scheme is bad because they actually have some really good running plays. But when they run crunch, they usually do a really good job of executing crunch. And it's a nice running play to have on first or second down, especially like if it's second and long, you want to run a running play, especially if it's, if the defense is in like a sub package, like nickel or something like that. It's something that can really work on like 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. You want to make it 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. It's a good running play to do. I mean, absolutely. They have some good plays in there. They have some good concepts when it comes to running the football. It really is mainly execution. Because when properly executed more consistently, last year is what you see. The second half of last year is what happens. They rush for 146 yards per game. Because if they were blocking properly, the Steelers would be running the football a lot better. They wouldn't be complaining about it. And this team might be 4-1 instead of 3-2. Let's see. Let me go through here. Chris, we're not talking about Chooks as much for being the longest starter. Have the zone runs on his side just haven't worked this season. I can see them moving on from Chooks. It's really been both tackles. Really, when I talk about both tackles, I mean Dan Moore and Chooks. It's been bad on both sides. It really has. There are times where Chooks is getting pushed back. Chooks is much, much better whenever he's blocking down on the weak side of the play. You know, if the play is going to Dan Moore's side and they're running outside zone, that means Chooks is having to block to seal off in case the primary attack point and the cutback lane up the middle are both blocked off. Chooks is doing a better job of blocking off his edge so that Naji has an opportunity to cut all the way back against the play if the defense as a whole over pursues. The problem is that not only are the primary attack points and the cutback lane up the middle not open, they're not only not open, they're in Naji's lap by the time he's trying to run the football. So he doesn't even have time to try to cut all the way back against the defense. And if you remember the play where Naji was trying to run a sweep to the side, to the left side against the Browns, and he just stopped and started running back all the way, and he ended up gaining like 20 something yards. I think it was. I remember it was a pretty good sized gain. If you watch Chooks on that play, he blocks his guy down really, really well to seal off the edge on his side, which helped Naji be able to cut all the way back. So, but overall, the tackles have not been great. Overall, and it's not just the tackles; it really is across the board. Isaac Seumalo has probably been their best offensive lineman so far in terms of not only performance but availability. He's been there every game. His pass blocking is getting better and better. He was phenomenal in pass protection against the Texans. Seumalo is getting better, and Seumalo was primarily brought in to help pass protect up the middle. And then when you talk about trading up for Broderick Jones, eventually he can hopefully become a good pass protector as well. He's obviously a better run blocker now than he is pass protector. But, I mean, you got to play him. And, I mean, we don't know unless it's been announced, and I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, it's just they need to play Broderick Jones. I'll just put it that way. Let's see. We got it's already 2:27. 2:27 my time, 3:27 Eastern. Rob says Naji would fare better if he would run more downhill instead of trying to look like Le'Veon Bell hesitating jukes. Well, part of the problem when running outside zone is that you have to have the patience to see what hole is opening up when you're running zone. Because you have a primary attack point, but if you over pursue that attack point and it's closed off, you really will get no gain. And this is where the Twitter film room people, all those guru guys will start blasting Naji for being like Trent Richardson and not seeing holes open up. Because when you're running outside zone and you just try to attack the main attack point off tackle no matter what, and if that cutback lane up the middle is wide open, that's whenever Naji's going to start getting shredded. Rightfully so, because part of running zone is having the patience to read the linebacker behind the play, not only see the holes that are opening up, but also reading the linebackers behind the play. What gaps are they going to fill? What gaps are they favoring? Where do I have leverage on them? Oh, it looks like they're going to favor to take back the cutback lane up the middle. Then guess what? Now I am going to go full head of steam and try to get as many yards as I can through to my main attack point. Or if the main attack point, if they're favoring to cut off the main attack point, then I can cut back up the middle and hit it hard. But that initial burst after he gets the ball when running zone concepts, you can't just try to hit the hole as fast as you can because you could possibly miss a wide open cutback lane. That's bad. Is there any other run blocking style the zone of gap? I mean, no. I mean, when we're talking about like breaking things down to basics, it's either zone blocking where linemen are essentially responsible for a zone based off of, okay, are we mainly blocking to get a run up the middle? Are we blocking to get outside? Or gap is also like considered to be man as well. So it's usually gap/man. So you block down on, so if you're, when you're talking about blocking, gap or man concepts, if there's a guy in front, for offensive linemen, if there's a guy in front of you, you block that guy. If there's not a guy in front of you, it depends on, what else, do get to the second level, do whatever else you need to do, because there's a primary hole, like one hole that needs to be hit by the running back when running gap. And that's why Jaylen Warren is a better gap runner than he is a zone runner, because Jaylen Warren is the type of running back to just hit the hole, see the hole, hit the hole. And that's why Jaylen Warren is statistically a better gap runner than he is a zone runner. And that's why Naji's a better zone runner, because he doesn't hit the hole as hard. He uses his vision to kind of see where is the hole opening, what is happening, how are things breaking down. And you would like a back like Naji to have a little bit better acceleration so that he can get more yards. And that's what made Le'Veon Bell so good, is that he could just put a foot in the ground. I just made the camera shake, but he could just put a foot in the ground and go. And so if he sees a cutback lane open up, or he sees his primary attack point open up, puts a foot in the ground and just takes off immediately. That's one of the things that made Le'Veon Bell so, so good. That Naji doesn't have that same burst, but what Naji doesn't have with that same burst, he has more just straight up strength. I mean, we've seen him carry guys and throw guys with a stiff arm and stuff like that. He's just a more powerful back. He just doesn't have that same acceleration, that same burst that Le'Veon Bell had. Crystal, turning to the defensive side, Minkah is going to be the MVP of this game. I hope so. And the problem that I'm seeing with Minkah isn't necessarily it being Minkah, is that I don't like the way he's being utilized, playing closer to the line of scrimmage. He needs to be playing further back in the second, on the third level, patrolling center field. That's what Minkah does best. That's why he, was tied for the league leading interceptions last year. Let Minkah be Minkah. Don't try to make Minkah Troy Polamalu. That's what I would think. Man. All right. So we do need to start wrapping this up, but so I'll just go ahead. Okay. Final thoughts. If you guys have any final thoughts, throw them in here. Oh yeah. And I have to give my prediction too. So that'll be my final thought today. I forgot today's Friday, Football Friday. So prediction time. Let's see. Drop your predictions in. I'll try to put as many on as I can. Swan, really quick, says it'll be interesting to see Harvin after the injury. I'm also curious because Presley Harvin is probably punting the best he ever has in his career before he got injured. And good for him, because he cares a lot. He tries really hard. It was good to see him have some success. Like it's kind of like if you've seen The Office, the episode of Kevin where it's just nice to win one. Like when you see Presley have some consistency finally, it's like you kind of have that same feeling towards him, just because he's such a good dude who works so hard at what he does. It's just good to see that. Monongahela Mike, Steelers 17, Rams 13. John says, like the Steelers 27-17. Swan, I'll go the other way. Rams 27, Steelers 16. Let's see. The Rams are a really, really difficult. They're a difficult challenge. Matthew Stafford still got it. He still got it. Bob, my God. That's comment of the day so far. I think this game is going to be more like Kevin's famous chili. Hey, you know what? When it's not spilled, I actually made Brian Baumgartner's recipe before. It's actually pretty good chili. It's pretty good. The Rams do present a really, really big challenge, though, for sure. Matthew Stafford still got it. I don't know who the heck's going to cover Cooper Kupp. Even if Joey Porter Jr. is out there trying to lock him down, man, like I'm very encouraged by what Joey Porter Jr. has done this year. But Cooper Kupp is, especially if he's starting to get healthy, really get healthy again, he's starting to look more and more like he was when he was Offensive Player of the Year. Dude, it's dangerous. Like trying to put a rookie on him, I don't care. That's difficult. And then Aaron Donald, like how are they going to slow him down? Because you're not going to neutralize him. How do you slow him down? But did a lot of talking about outside zone today. Outside zone for the Steelers matches up well against the Rams. Rams are really good up the middle. Obviously, Aaron Donald's there. They're not as strong on the edges. This is a Rams defense that ranks 22nd against the run. They can run the football on this team. Aaron Donald or not, the Rams are not stopping teams from running the football. They're just not. 122 yards a game, 22nd in the league. They're not stopping teams from running the ball. And then, some of you might not like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Mike Tomlin's teams, since taking over as head coach in 2007, are 12-4 after the bye week. He knows how to get the team ready. They make their adjustments, and 3/4 of the time, they get wins after the bye. So, while I still really, really want to see, I am nowhere near as optimistic as I was going into week 1. I'm going to have faith that the work the Steelers put into during the bye week is going to produce enough tangible results. I'm not encouraged to, oh my God, like this is a whole new team. Like I'm not expecting to see that, but I'm expecting to see a better football team. And I think the Rams running back situation also makes it really difficult to stay two-dimensional for them. And if the Steelers can make the Rams one-dimensional, they have a better opportunity to slow them down enough. So I'm going to say Steelers win 20-17. Corey says, he gave his prediction yesterday, but I'll give his prediction too. Corey says Rams 23-20. Actually, what Corey said, because the internet broke up, was I'm going to predict it's 23-20. And then he just cut off, and it was awesome. Swan says Tomlin's record on the West Coast cancels bye week success. They went to the West Coast. I mean, it's Vegas, but it's still Pacific time zone. They went to Vegas and won earlier this year. So I know the Raiders are bad, but again, I'm going more with what the team does during the bye week. I could be wrong. I have no problem. And part of me, there's a very, very, very small part of me that wanted to choose something different than Corey, because Corey and I are both the same record when predicting the games this year, and I want to break that. I don't care if I lose and he wins, or if I win and he loses. I just don't want to be the same record anymore, one way or the other. Randy asks, as far as I know, I think there is a Ramon show today. I want to say there is. I want to say DK said there was going to be one today. So I do believe there is one, I think. Don't quote me on that. So that's my prediction for the game. Thank you guys for joining me. This went better than I thought it would. I didn't give as many Tony Romo impressions though, Jim. I didn't do it. DK leaving for LA leaving tomorrow for LA. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't know his flight itinerary. But yeah, it was a fun show today. Thank you guys for all the questions, all the comments, for your predictions, and for any donations you guys do, any memberships that you guys gift. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Joe, appreciate it. Really appreciate the compliments. Flying solo is not as easy as riding with a wingman. Like I said, this is me being Christian Bale and not being Val Kilmer or George Clooney. I don't have my Chris O'Donnell next to me. Not that I consider myself Batman, but I mean, a little bit quite appreciate it, man. Yeah. Cheers for sure. Tonight, I will be cheersing all night tonight, for sure. Once all the work's done, it's going to be going into the weekend with a good note for sure. So thank you guys so much for all of your contributions, all of your support, and for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the game, the best you possibly can. Hopefully for Steelers fans, it goes well, and we can talk on a victory Monday instead of a sour Monday. I don't know what else you would call it, but thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Peace out, guys.